And can we close the door? Oh. Okay. Is anyone on Facebook yet? On YouTube yet? Yeah, we've got a few people there. So, hi everyone.
People there.
Hi everyone on YouTube. Oh.
Stop.
There we are. Okay.
3 people. Someone
left.
Leave us.
All right. So, I'm going to adjust this. We've got YouTube. We're on Facebook. Yes. Give everyone a couple minutes. We're a minute early. We're going to be going live shortly with Shabbos. Well, we're not going live with Shabbos. We're going live with pre-Shabbos. Maybe what I'll do is, Noach, can you go inside and get that back desk thing? The stand?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that way. One sec, YouTubers. One sec, YouTubers. One sec. Hotspot.
Barrel.
Okay. And, we're just finishing to square back. Hey everyone, we're just going to change the internet connection so that and we'll just come here. Beautiful.
14 people. 14
Okay, so we're live, and I think we've got a fairly good Beryl. So my kids are very excited that we've got a YouTube channel. And do you want to have a quick word with Beryl before we begin? So now that we're all techie, last week we only had one piece of technology working. This week we've got everything, and I think the sound's good. So a good Erev Shabbos to everyone. Because we can't be together with Zalman and Adam this week, mainly because they aren't part of my family, and we're just trying to keep everyone a bit apart so that we play our role in just helping end the whole coronavirus thing. And each person, this is a crazy, crazy time because each person matters. Every person is able to cause so much damage, which highlights how much potential we all have, because we can also do so much good. You don't need we need a coronavirus sometimes to teach us the capacity of one person. But we're sitting in our backyard and we're actually going to just put everything on hold. And what I mean by putting everything on hold is that for the next 25 hours, we're not going to need to tune in to the news. We don't need to tune into anything. I doubt much is going to change in 24 hours. But one difference between now and tomorrow night is if you don't spend any time reading the news, and we try to cut back on how much coronavirus chit-chat we have, and we just move into the spirit of Shabbos, I can tell you one thing's for sure. You will feel more rested and more energized for the week ahead. So I'm going to ask Noach maybe to get me a sitter, because we're going to begin. So without instruments, but we are going to sing all together. And I've got Pepe who's off camera, and I've got Beryl who's off camera, and I've got Noach who's off camera, and they are going to help sing. We're going to do this acoustically. We're going to do this enjoyably. So before we begin, let's just take a moment to pause. And if you're sitting in your dining rooms or you're sitting in your garden, I would suggest everyone go to their garden, because I'm going to be focusing on the whole idea of being in the outdoors. And it's okay. It's okay. That whole idea of being in the outdoors has a very, very beautiful mystical idea, which I'm going to share a little later. But for now, let's sit back, let's relax, and perhaps even do a meditation. So if you want, you can just close your eyes. And I want you to take a really deep breath. Just take a really, really deep breath in and breathe out. And we're just going to repeat this. Just take a deep breath in. Keep your eyes closed and breathe out. What I'd like you to do, and what some people are embarrassed to do when they're meditating in a group, is we're going to take a really deep sigh together. And as you sigh, I want you to not only breathe in, but as you breathe out, I want it to be an audible sigh. I want it to be something that you can hear and you really let out, as if you've just collapsed onto a couch. Let's take a deep breath in. And there's all sorts of family commentary. Close the door. And we're just breathing, listening to the sounds of my family, listening to the sounds of your home, with your eyes closed, just relaxing into the moment as the sun is setting. Just taking a deep breath once again. And we take these deeper breaths just to allow us to hold our moment of consciousness. When you breathe deeper and you're being told to, you start noticing the breath more. And as you do that, you're not focused on other things. One more deep sigh. Take a deep breath in and let it go. What I'd like everyone to do is, if you've got the link from the email or from last week's WhatsApp, let's sing Yedid Nefesh together. Yedid Nefesh is a particularly special tune because, a special song, because the first letter of each of the paragraphs starts with a different letter of the name of God. So the name of Hashem that I'm referring to is the Yud and the Hey and the Vav and the Hey. The Yud and the Hey and the Vav and the Hey is the name of Hashem, the name of God, as it refers to the infinite. Because this is a name that is able to be able to spell a number of different words. So if you just use the Yud and the Hey, it spells the Hebrew word Yehei, which is future. If you just use the Hey, the Vav and the Hey, it means Hover. It means present. Sorry, one sec. Bella? And if you use the Hey and the Yud and the Hey, then it spells the Hebrew word Haya, which means past tense. So the word, this word, which is the name of Hashem, actually is past, present, and future all at the same time. And because they're past, present, and future at the same time, it's just an indication of the infinite nature that is this particular name of Hashem. Another aspect of this name, the Yud, represents the tiny dot of potential. The Hey is the development. It's a letter that is taking form, but it hasn't completely formed, so it's got so much potential, but it's not like the potential of a dot, it's a potential of a shape that's emerging. Vav is a conduit letter. It's a straight line down. And then Hey is another expansion. So it's like we have a concept, it's developed, it comes down into something, and it manifests. So that's the name of Hashem in that sense. Another aspect is Yud represents the seminal drop. And the Vav represents masculinity. Hey represents the feminine, and it also represents pregnancy. And so when we take the Yud and the Vav and we combine it with two Heys, what we have is not only the name of Hashem, but we actually also have the infinite as it encompasses all things physical as we understand them, both masculine and feminine, past, present, and future, concept and reality. So this is a very, very powerful name. And this name spells out the very first letters of the song Yedid Nefesh. So whether you have the Siddur in front of you or you don't, you can definitely hum along. Yedid Nefesh of Harachaman Meshach Avdecha Eretz Einecha Yarutz Avdecha Kama Yayam Yishtachave El Mul Hadarecha. If you want to hear the kids, just give a couple thumbs up on YouTube or Facebook. Yerav Loi Yedidai Secha Minai Festu V'chol Ta'am Adonai Eziv Ha'olam Nafshi Chaylas Avasecha Ana Elna Rafana La Behara Isla Nayam Zivecha Az Tizchazek V'Sisrapek V'Hai Salasim Chasaylam Vasik Yehemu Rachamecha V'chosana Al Beinahu V'cha Ki Ze Kama Nichsafti Lirais B'Siferes Ozechai Chamda Libi V'chosana Ve'yalti Salam. Now the last paragraph of this song is the bottom Hey, and it represents this world. The Yud was the concept of the infinite, the potential for anything. The Hey was that infinite beginning to manifest within to the concept. The Vav, it's being channeled, and now Hey, we create it in our world. So join me for the last paragraph as we channel that energy of Shabbos. Ufrais Chavivi Alai. Mel says he can't see you guys. Esukas Shalai Mecha. You can sit it. Ta'ireret Michvaidecha Nagila V'nismechava Ay Maherahu Kivamaye V'chaneinu Kimei Aylam. All together, lai lai, lai 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 lai, lai 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 lai, lai lai lai, di lai 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 lai, di di da di lai lai lai, So we're actually not davening now, because if we daven, then we're bringing Shabbos in. But what I want to do is I want to just sing some of the familiar songs that we all know. We've got quite a few minions going on here. We've got 20 people on Facebook and 30 something on YouTube. So we're connecting via the world of the internet. And the 6 paragraphs that make up the beginning of Kabbalat Shabbat correspond to the 6 days of the week. And what I'd like us to do is just sing some of them, because when these are just chapters of Tehillim, and when we say these on Friday evening, what we're actually doing is retroactively harnessing any energy that exists in those days. And we can no longer access them because we can't go back in time. But through the reading of these paragraphs, we access the latent energies that were not necessarily elevated, the energies that we could have personally accessed and maybe didn't. And what we do is we go back via the timelessness of Shabbos and via the timelessness of these prayers to actually go back in time, harness that energy, and bring it into our present moment. So whatever city you've got, we're going to begin with L'chun Ranana. If you're using the link that we sent out in the email today, it's the very first paragraph. Let's sing. L'chu means let us go out. Naranana is let us sing. And that's what we're doing. We're outside. We're not really in the hills of Tzfat, which is really something that is very much a part of the Friday night. But we are in our backyard. We've got a few beautiful roses. We've got the kids. And let me tell you something amazing. And I really encourage you to go outside if your internet connection is strong enough, because the Kamana Rebbe lived over 150 years ago. And he was a great mystic. He was a very, very well-known Kabbalist. And he spoke about the idea that the Baal Shem Tov says, which is that we should pray outside, because when you pray outside with full intention, not only is your soul engaging in a spiritual activity, but you're able to harness, Bella, please stop that, but you're able to harness the energy and the souls of the grass, the trees, the flowers and the plants, the animals that are there, because they are doing their best. Just by living, a plant is able to sing its song. But if we can pray in the backyard, if we can pray in a forest or in a field, then we are able to consciously bring a spirituality, and the grass and the plants, the flowers and the animals actually all tune in. That's one idea. The other is the opposite. They are so pure. Animals are pure. Plants are pure. They have no desire to do bad. They have no negative inclination. So when we daven outside, we are actually connecting with the purest souls of nature. Maybe that's to inspire us, or maybe the souls of those plants and the songs of the animals carry our words higher. So join me for L'chun Ranana. L'chun Ranana. Elah Hashem Naria Letzu Yishena Nakad Mafanav Ibesaida Bizmiras Naria. Fourth last line of the same paragraph. Abayim Shana Ayakot Bedai Va'imar Amtaye Levahem Vehem Layado Derachai Asher Nishpati Biapi Im Yavayon El Menuchasi. Shirul Hashem is a song which Shirul means sings, to sing with me. Shirul Adonai, Shir Chadash, Shirul Adonai Kal Haaretz, Shirul Adonai Baruch Shmai, Basu Miyam Leyam Yeshuasai. I actually love that part where it goes, you can sing along because you can harmonize any way you want. No one's listening. Where are we? Saprovagayim kevai b'chalo amim neflawaisa. Igadal adonai mehulam meyai. Neirahu akal elayim. Kikal elahei amim elilim. Badei shamayim masa. Hawaii Vahada Lefana Oisis Veres Bemikta Washai Lai Ambaladina Mistachai Samim Ambaladina Kavai Ba'ais Ambaladina Kavai Shamat Samicha Vayalachat Shraisa. Thanks, Deborah. Just Kaidem. Kala Ares Imro Bagayim Adonai Malach Av Tikain Teva Batim I Adir Am Bimesharim Yes Nachosh Maim Besagala Ares Yiram Mayam Malayai Yalla Sadavecha La Sheba was Yeran and Nukalatse Yoa Lifnei Adonai Kiva Kivalish Bai Parat Despite Tabor they be Amin Bambo Banasai La 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 la. I hope you're not just watching. La 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 la. So I just want to tell you a story, and maybe Pepe will accompany us with a bit of a song of Shabbos. Yeah. So Pepe's going off camera. She's got a little something that she's prepared for you all. So I don't know if you're aware that Pepe plays the flute. And the flute is a very, very beautiful instrument. It's got that very, very beautiful, sweet, expressive sound. So I'm going to tell a story, and Pepe's going to accompany us in the background. It's a story that may be true. It may not be true. They say about the stories of the Baal Shem Tov that if you believe the stories, you're a fool. But if you don't believe the stories, you're a heretic. So I'm going to tell you a Baal Shem Tov story that relates to Shabbos. There was a man who he was a precious stone merchant. He used to sell all sorts of precious gems and stones. And he asked the Baal Shem Tov for a blessing that he should be successful in his business. And the Baal Shem Tov said, why don't you take a trip to a particular country? And the man said, well, I've got to go on a ship, and that means I have to travel away from this part. I've got to get to the coast. The Baal Shem Tov was in Ukraine and that part of the world. And so the man says, fine, if the Baal Shem Tov's saying travel, I'll travel wherever he tells me to go. So he boards a ship, and they set out to sea. And while he's at sea on a rather large ship, a storm hits and the ship capsizes. And the man falls into the ocean, and he's holding on for dear life onto a plank of wood. And he kind of blacks out. He wakes up and he doesn't know where he is. He doesn't know how he's gotten there. He doesn't know if he's alive or dead. He's lying on a beach, and there are pieces of timber, and there's just nothing. There's no luggage, no people, and he looks around for maybe a pier, something, some sign of life. Eventually, he gets his energy, and he stands up, and he starts walking. And within a few hours, he realizes he's circumnavigated the whole island. And over the next 24 hours, he finds a stream a little more in the island, and there's some fruit trees. And there is this hill. There's a small mountain range, just a cliff that separates one side of the island from the other. But over the couple of days, he's explored it all. He's seen everything that this island has to offer. And one thing's for sure, there are no people, there are no boats, and there's no wildlife. There are birds, but he's just going to be living on fresh water and berries until either a ship comes past or he dies. And he doesn't understand what was the Baal Shem Tov thinking in sending him to this island. A few days pass, and he wakes up one morning, and he hears a commotion. It sounds like there are people. He starts running to the sound of the people. He's running up the beach and comes round a bend in the beach, and all of a sudden there's a pier, there are boats, there's a whole village, a whole fishing village. He doesn't understand. He's walked this island every day, and there is no sign of life. All of a sudden, not only is there a sign of life, but there's a town with houses and streets and animals and people. And he approaches the town, and he notices that everyone is dressed differently to European dress, looks something more from North Africa or the Middle East. But he hears they're speaking Hebrew. It's not the pronunciation he's used to, but it's a Hebrew anyway. It's a Hebrew he can understand. And he walks up to someone and says, "Excuse me, I've been on this island for days. Who are you?" And the person he stops says, "Can't talk. It's almost Shabbos. It's Friday. Who's got time to schmooze right now?" And he said, "What? Shabbos, schmooze?" No one's answering him. No one's being rude, but no one's giving him any details. The sun goes down, and he sees people walking in one direction. He asks, "Excuse me, where's everyone going?" And he says, "Can't talk right now. We've got to go do the prayers." Do the prayers? Friday night prayers? Where am I? He walks into the shul with them. They daven. Some of the paragraphs are familiar, others are not. But it's by and large a Friday night service that he can follow. The tunes are nothing he's ever heard. But there's enough familiarity for him to feel at home. Service finishes. People start leaving. Where's he going to go? Doesn't know. A person comes up and says, "Excuse me, do you want to join me for a Shabbos?" 100%. Haven't eaten in days. Goes with the gentleman home, and at home there's a family, his wife, children, and he's so taken by the scene, and the food is so good that he forgets to even ask the whole story. The family don't do a lot of talking. The meal is filled with song. Any gap between courses is filled with zmiros, with tunes. Then they bench, and the man says, "I'm going to bid you farewell because we're going to sleep." And our friend leaves the house. He's got no answers, but he's got a full stomach. He goes to the beach and he sleeps. Next morning, he wakes up to commotion. People are hustling and bustling. They're going to shul. He follows, and he joins in the service again. Someone else invites him, and he eats food. And then he's about to ask, "Where am I?" And the host says, "I'd love to talk to you, but the rabbi's about to give a drasha. He's about to give a speech. We've got to go to shul to hear the speech." Okay? Listens to the speech. They daven mincha. Then they daven the Mariv service, the end of Shabbos. And they start making Havdalah. And they all hold up their fingers to the candle. The rabbi finishes the blessing, similar to what we're going to do tomorrow night at 8:30, same place, same time. Not same time, same place. And they extinguish the candle, and everyone dips their fingers into the wine, touches their eyelids, and as he does that, he removes them and he opens his eyes, and there's nothing there. There are no people. There are no buildings. He's just standing on a patch of earth on an empty island. 6 days go by, not a soul, not a meal, nothing. Wakes up, and it's Friday again. And there's a town, and there's everything happening. And he starts asking, I need to know what's going on. I'm here for a week. Nobody. Now you're here, and no one's got time to talk to me. And everyone's saying, can't talk. It's almost Shabbos. People are rushing to the fishmonger. People go to the butcher, and the markets are bustling, and people buying veggies. Where's all this produce coming from? He has no idea. He has a Friday night. No one's answering his questions, but the food is good. Next morning, he goes to shul again. The davening, some of the tunes he recognizes from the week before. He recognizes faces. There are people. It's unbelievable. But this time he remembers when Shabbos goes out, he's not going to touch his eyes with the wine. And he's not going to let the rabbi either. He's going to find out what is going on. Who are these people? Where do they come from? And they make Havdalah at the end of Shabbos. And the rabbi makes Havdalah. And he extinguishes the candle in the wine. And everyone reaches out to touch the wine, as is a tradition. They're all reaching for their eyes. And our friend says, stop! I need to know what's going on. Where am I? And the rabbi stares at him and says, you don't know where you are? The man says, I've been on this island for 2 weeks. And I didn't see anyone. And then all of a sudden, you're here. The rabbi says, I'll tell you where you are. But if I tell you, you're never going to be able to stay here. You're going to have to leave. The man says, how am I leaving? There are no boats. There are no people. This is a desert island. The rabbi says, let me explain. We lived during the temple. In the second temple period, we were killed. Our whole town was killed. We were murdered by the Romans. However, we were so into Shabbos as a town that we honored the Shabbos. And not only did we honor the Shabbos, but we would go to the temple, and in honor of Shabbos, we would clean the whole area around the temple. When the Romans killed us, our souls went up, and we were offered the opportunity to enter into the Garden of Eden. But I asked that rather than go into the Garden of Eden permanently, it would be so great if we could come down into the physical world to do Shabbos every week, if our souls could return. Because living in the Garden of Eden is an amazing reality. It's an infinite reality of everything. But to be able to do a Shabbos in this world is what it's all about. To be able to live Shabbos in this world, there's nothing greater. To do to imitate Hashem and stop, and in the chaos and the distraction of the world, to actually stop, there's nothing greater. There's nothing better that brings a spirituality into this world. And the rabbi says, and we've been coming down for a couple thousand years since then, every week. This is our place. Nobody finds us. Nobody knows we're here. And I don't know how you made it here. But now you're going to have to go. Man says, where am I going? The rabbi says, wait. He heads out of the shul, comes back a few moments later, and there's a piece of parchment. And on it is freshly dried ink. And the man says, you have to read what I've written here. Read this sentence. Read this word. And you'll be transported back to where you began your journey. But when you get to the other side, you have to throw this piece into the ocean where you began your journey. No one can get their hands on this piece of parchment. Nobody should have access to what I've written here. You've got to promise me that. And the man says, 100%. I promise you. He reads it. Everything disappears. He blinks and is back where he started. It's like he never left. And he's holding this parchment, and he remembers what his obligation is, and he scrunches it up, and he draws back to throw, and a hand catches him. And he's, what? Turns around, and there are the sparkling eyes of the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov says, can I please have that parchment? This is why I sent you on your journey. Baal Shem Tov would use this piece of parchment. He'd use what was written there to traverse incredible distances, to be able to go across the Jewish communities of Europe in a very short amount of time, and he would assist. We're not going to talk about the Baal Shem Tov now. I want to talk about the fact that somewhere out there's an island of people who do Shabbos. Because the greatest thing in this world is to be able to do Shabbos, to log off, to move into our own desert island. So I'd like to invite you to sing with me the 6th paragraph of Tehillim, which corresponds to Friday. And it's the one before Lecha Dodi. We sing it in Spirit Grow every Shabbos. And we'll build it up slowly by singing the slow part of the previous paragraph. But once we sing, we're going to get up and dance. We've got to dance because dancing is about simcha. We've got to dance. When we're besimcha, we can be peretz geder. We can break any boundary, any barriers. Yeah, I don't know what's going on in the world. Don't worry about not knowing what's going on. Worry about what you can do. And what we can do is we can be besimcha. We can change things by finding that joy. Moshe v'yaroin b'chai hana u'shmuel b'kairei shema kairim el Adonai v'hu yaneh ay b'yamod anan ay yedaber aleihem shamru edaisam v'chai nasan lamai Adonai Eloheinu Ata Nisam El Neisei Ayisa Lahem V'neikem Alali Laisam La 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 Adonai Eloheinu Ve'ishtachavu lahakadeshai ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Mizmor David Havel Adonai b'nei Elim Havel Adonai Kavod v'azai lai lai Havel Adonai Kavod shemayis Havel Adonai Hadras Kavaidesh Kol Adonai Alamayim Elakavod Irim Adonai Amayim Ravim Kol Adonai Bakayakav Adonai Adonai Lai Lai Kol Adonai No That's the idea. Kalada, Achel me by Feladina, me Bagawadesh, Galanevalayas, Layachasai, Fiarais, Uvehechalai Kulay Mekavad, Adonai Lam Abo Yasha. Yeshev Adonai Melech L'Olam Adonai Yizei Amayitein Adonai Yevarech Lamai Vashalom Lai 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 So let's sing a bit of Lecha Dodi. We love it. We're not going to sing the whole thing. Lecha Dodi welcomes Shabbos. It was written by the great Kabbalist Shlomo Alkabatz. Shlomo Alkabatz was a Kabbalist that lived in northern Israel, give or take 450 years ago, 400 years ago. And he you can just imagine what Shabbos in Tzfat would have been like. If you've ever been to Tzfat, you know how beautiful it is. It's the city of the Kabbalists. It's the city in Israel that represents air, the holy cities of Israel, Tiberias, Jerusalem, Hebron, Tzfat. They represent different elements. Jerusalem is fire, Hebron is earth, Tiberias is water, and Tzfat is air. Air, it just goes all over. Air is very hard to contain. And you can imagine that the energy obviously really was very important for it contributed. I don't know whether the energy of Tzfat attracted the Kabbalists or whether the energy of Tzfat made the Kabbalists. Anyway, Shlomo Alkabatz composed Lecha Dodi, and he describes Shabbos as a bride, as a queen. And so I just want you to imagine you're welcoming this white energy into your life. It's not the color white, it's the purity of white. That color that brides wear. It's the color of majesty in a pure sense. It's the color that the priests wore on Yom Kippur and in the service of the temple the whole year. It's that color that we associate with being all color, not like black, but white, representing all light. So we're going to bring that into our lives. If you want, you can just close your eyes as you sing the familiar tunes of Lecha Dodi, and we'll just sing the first verse over and over and over again a few times, and then we'll go into our favorite part, which is halfway through. So if you want, you can close your eyes, and I want you to just imagine a beautiful white light that exists above you, and it's not accessible to you. You can't grab it. You can't turn it on, you can't turn it off. But as the sun begins to set on Friday evening, that light begins to flow into you via your mind because you've conceived it. And as it becomes a part of your mind and it fills your head, fills your whole top part, allow it to move down your neck, into your shoulders and arms. This white light just fills you, and every breath you take, that light comes deeper and deeper and deeper. Just take it all the way down, allowing that flow. It's flowing into you, but you have to draw it deeper into yourself as you become more conscious of it. And you become Shabbos, you become the bride, we become the queen. That divine majesty, that energy of Friday night and Shabbos. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Lecha Dodi Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Let's do that again. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekaba, Eloi say boishi, Eloi say kami, matish teichachi, umatehemi b'yechasu, ani yeyami v'nimnesa hawirati lai lecha dodi, likra kalai penei Shabbos nekabela v'yolim shisa sh'haisayim berachako kol mevalayich yasis alayich elayich kimsois chasana kalai lecha dodi haile kras kalai penei Shabbos nekabela. So we're going to go to the last paragraph of Lecha Dodi, and we'll sing a slow tune. It's our second last tune before Shabbos comes in a couple minutes. It's a tune that we all know. It's not a deliberately Jewish tune, but it is a tune by Leonard Cohen. And we're going to sing it to the words of Boi B'Shalom, which means come in peace. Come in peace, the feminine. Ateres Baila, the crown of her husband. And what that is saying is that without the crown, a royal is just a person. The crown is what makes the person into a king or a queen. So the power is actually in the crown. The crown lives on generation to generation. The crown is passed down. It is infinite. It is timeless. So come in peace. The crown of the husband, the crown that crowns us all, that white energy that we brought in. Gambarino also with song of Tzala, Tachimunim, Segula, Bayechala, come to us. Come to us, our brides. Bayechala, Shabbos Magsa, come to us, the Shabbos bride. So sing with me. Boi v'shalom, ateres baila, gambarina uvetzahala. Aitach segula bayichala lecha dodi likras B'nei Shabbos nekabela lecha dodi likras B'nei Shabbos nekabela. Shabbos, everyone. We're going to log off now. Shabbos begins in a few moments. If I could please ask all the women who are watching with us, please, can you, if you haven't already, go find 2 candles and light them now. Make the bracha, Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam asher kshem mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahad l'knei Shabbat. And after you make that blessing, while your hands cover your eyes, I want you to put in a prayer for the world. If Shabbos is a feminine energy and women in Jewish spirituality represent the divine feminine, then you're completely in sync in this moment. And what you can pray for when you light the candles, when you bring that light into the world, has incredible capacity. And in the spirit of all the women lighting candles, or any of the men who are home and there's no woman at home to light candles, they're away, or you're living alone, or you're in a home where a relationship that's just you and a partner, I want you to light Shabbos candles. And for the men, we'll tap into that divine feminine that we all have as well. It's not as overt. So go make the bracha. We'll say good Shabbos. We'll see you tomorrow night at 8:30 for Havdalah. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharetz, Malachei Yayin, Nimel see you, Facebook Spirit Growers. We'll see you, YouTube Spirit Growers. Have a good Shabbos.